if you want it done right.
That's it, bro. That's it, Auntie.
I mean, are you
Yes,
gonna take trades based on someone else, or are you gonna take your own?
exactly right. That's it.
Correlate it back. Hey, I had a DeFi interview. I got to the third stage of a DeFi analyst and educator job.
That's
Um,
amazing, bro. That's
got to
amazing.
the third had my third stage interview
Yeah,
today talking to them. You're in my resume, so if they need to talk to my mentor, I may have to reach out to you. No.
of course, bro. No, of course.
I'm,
If you need anything from me, just let me know, man.
yeah, 100%. This is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be a good opportunity for
Yeah,
me. I hope
yeah,
get
bro.
my get some experience in DeFi. I mean, I've always wanted to work in crypto, so
Yeah,
um, DeFi is kind of where you got to go to do that.
yeah. That's it. Sounds good, man. Yeah, like I said, if you need anything from my end, just let me know. Um,
Appreciate it.
but yeah, so I think that's probably the reason I'm worn out. Is because it's just been a lot of stuff just doing on my own over the last few days. So unless it's super like important stuff like electrics or like groundwork, like underground plumbing, so on and so forth, I'm probably just gonna do majority of it myself.
Well, you
Um,
said you even like made your own chairs and shit for one of your restaurants, right?
yeah, we built chairs, tables, so it's not it's not like anything. It's not like um, I don't know what I'm doing with it per se. It's more just if it gets too much and there's a time aspect of it as well. Um, been into like metalwork, woodwork, so on and so forth from a young age. So,
You are a very nice CEO owner. I'll just put that out.
but yeah, um, I'm hopefully we get it properly opened by Christmas. That's what we're thinking. Um, so just over the next couple of weeks, I'll do everything that I need to do, and then once there's things that I don't need to be here for, I'm going back to Asia, and then I can let the I can let the team handle the rest.
I might be going out to Japan for my first time here soon. I don't know what part yet, but I think me and my buddies are gonna finally make the trip.
Yeah, bro. Now that's amazing. I've never been to Japan myself. I do want to go. But it's one of those things where it's like, if I go to Japan, I don't want it to just be like, oh, you know, 3 days, 5 days, we'll get it done. I want to go like see everything properly. So I want to properly plan it and do
Yeah,
it. Yeah. Um,
yeah.
but no, you'll have a great time, bro. You'll have a great time. Do you know
Either
when
way,
you're doing it?
we want to do it before it gets cold. We want to definitely do it before it gets before December,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. Sounds
So
good.
next month, I guess, or the beginning of
Yeah.
December.
Yeah. Sounds good. Right. Now I don't know if other people are going to join, so I mean the recording is going to be there anyway, so I don't want to take up too much of it guys' time, so I'll just get started from here. The recording's already started. Um, so let's get it one sec. Let me share. And since last time we did the macros, right? We looked at stocks, we looked at total, so on and so forth. We'll just have a quick glance at the macros today, since we've had the weekly close now. Nothing in depth like last time, because today I want to actually go over the crypto side of things, right? Let's see what looks good. If you want to now do fresh spot bids, fresh maybe low leverage like swing bids, try for a play, what looks good, what doesn't. Let's have a scan through and see if there's any opportunity we can find, basically. EBDC dropping. Probably YC minus. I mean, it's plus minus plus minus. It's pretty even today. Apu just up and down, up and down. Right, okay. So let's take a look at the macros first. Like usual, which one is it on? Is it this one? Should be this one, I reckon. No, it's this one here. Okay. First and foremost, Dixie looks like it wants to climb higher for now. That's a very clear reclaim of the 382 for now. That's your trend line breakout retest. That's successful as well. So Dixie wouldn't be surprised if it climbs higher, goes to take out 103 at some point, right? Now again, this is forex side of things, but it's not proper forex, but this is like actual fiat currency. So you're not going to expect this to play out in a 30-minute candle or anything like this. I mean, it might, who knows, but it might take a while to get there. But like I said, above 97.939, Dixie has room to go higher, right? So we've got to be careful of that, because if you want everything, if you want all the stars to line up properly, let's say for quote-unquote alt season, you want that Dixie to be dying. You don't want it to be finding supports here and then going higher. Okay. USDT dominance, like we said, if you can't get above the mid of your liquidation wick, which was right over here, you are going to have a pullback. You couldn't get above. Right, we can see the very clear as day rejection on the daily there, which is what's giving us this brief respite in BTC and ETH and some alts. Right, it's because USDT dominance. There's not just USDT, USDC dominance as well. Same thing from what we were talking about last time. If you can't get above the mid of your liquidation wick, expect a pullback. And again, we know the inverse correlation. If these pull back, expect some green coming into the actual crypto markets, right? Hence why we see Bitcoin going back up towards 110. We see Ethereum flirting with that 4K level again, right? Because we see that rejection there. We know we've got an outflow from stables, meaning that stables most likely is probably being used to buy up crypto, right? Same with USDT plus USDC dominance. So like I said, we had the we had the trend line, couldn't get above. You had the trend line plus the 0.5, hence why we're seeing this green across the market. And also hence why I said to you guys, if you guys were de-risking some spot bags right around here, the reason I said maybe de-risk with like half, right, or whatever percentage you want, but not everything, but maybe like with half, 40%, whatever percentage you want to de-risk with, is because until we break out and now flip this area of support, we know that stables were at major resistance. And if stable coin dominance is a resistance, you're not going to just, that's not an area where you would short, and i.e. therefore that's not an area you would sell everything you have, right? Because again, if the resistance is respected and we get a move down, then the inverse correlation is going to push us higher in the markets, right? So what I said last time was, if we reject off here, we have a chance to go back down. There's a chance that the liquidity flows straight back in, and we undo the damage that was done on these charts, and we go on our merry way higher. And if not, if this happens, that is where, let's say you de-risk some here, if that happens, that's where you would then de-risk everything, right? If you want to sell all your spot and just be cash heavy for a bit, maybe not all, but if you wanted to be de-risk majorly, depending on what your risk was, you would do it if this was support, right? But it's not been flipped to support yet. So there's that BTC dominance, still resistance for now, right? Resistance, we haven't got above this level we were looking at last time yet. We haven't done so yet. Again, if this flips, then again, Bitcoin's going to be taking the lead in my opinion, right? 61% would be next, and then 62, so on and so forth. But for now, that same resistance we were looking at last time, we've not managed to get above it. ETH dominance, literally your T1 of your bats, right over here, your T1, you're trying to flip it into support. If it flips, T2 would be next. Pretty straightforward here, right? You can see that looking at the weekly. Bitcoin dominance plus stablecoin dominance, i.e. basically altcoin strength visualized right over here. If we take a look, right, after the liquidation wick, the target, as long as you stay above 66%, we said you can't be surprised if you go to 68.71% eventually, right? So even though right now we're seeing green, altcoins aren't still out the woodwork yet, right? Because if this 66.11% holds and then you start climbing up, altcoins will still take a beating. So it's not all green lights, everything's good for altcoins, no risk whatsoever. There's still some factors like this, even if it's local, even if it's one singular factor, it's a factor nonetheless that is currently against just a strength for altcoins, right? Because if this holds and it goes higher, that is not what you want to see for altcoin strength, because that's going to indicate that Bitcoin dominance and stablecoin dominance as a whole is increasing, right? Meaning that people are flocking to stables, and the thing that's outperforming alts is Bitcoin, right? And okay, of course, that's not what you want for alt season. So total, we're getting the retest of that 2024 level like I was talking about. We're getting the retest of the very important zone like we were talking about right over here. Now, the weekly close did close above the 3.63 trillion, right? They managed to save that by the skin of their teeth, but we haven't actually broken above yet our 2024 high. That's going to be that pivotal level for us to watch. In fact, we can look at the price action here and see how that 2024 high, 3.70 trillion, is what is rejecting us right now. right? We can see multiple attempts to get above. We have the ABCD 2.0, we have the 2024 high, very nice zone here we need to get above, and we aren't doing so yet, right? So for us to be for us to take a major level out the way, this area, like we said before, needs to be support, right? If you do something like this, maybe take that out, come flip it into support, that would look absolutely amazing. If we keep consolidating below, we can't be surprised if we do start back down, okay? Because below this, right, of course we've got 3.63 trillion. If you want to play level by level, 3.55 and ultimately 3.46 is what you're after based on your yearly levels. If you lose that, then 3.24 to 3.18 trillion is what you're looking for, right? Very clear range right over here. Total 2, just about front round that area of support we were talking about, right over there. And then we're getting this move up, 1.51 trillion. Again, this is the mid now. This is the mid of your 2024 seller zone. We need to flip this area into support next, right? That was the range mid, that was the range low, that's the range high. In this way, you can see that right over here, right? Well, technically that's the range high, mid, and low. But in terms of your harmonics, right? The harmonics that we're adhering to from history, your T1 and T2 are also respectively on the chart. So there's very, very well-defined sectors for the total 2 chart, right? We're currently in between this sector right over here. So this now needs to be support. If that happens, in my opinion, you probably go and try to take these highs out, right? What you don't want to see from there is a lower high. That'd be extremely, extremely weak. Total 3, again, bouncing from the area we're talking about, right? The T1, right? The T1 of the bearish Gartley, right? That's the first target of the bearish Gartley. Hits it, holding a support. Again, as long as you're above this, you go up back towards 105, 1.11, right? If you get below this, 879.5, and then straight to 833, 814. Again, it's just level by level at this stage. At this particular stage, it's just level by level, right? And the levels we already looked at before. So all we're doing is analyzing price action that comes in around those key areas, right? That's all we can do with these areas. Others, same thing, right? The actual T1 held, T1 of the harmonic, right? T1 held, so you're chopping about. Total D5, we already said this was looking good, right? Again, the trend, you can see the trend respected, the trend held. The 2022 yearly level held, so the next key level is very obvious, is 118.7 billion, right? 118 to 120. We need to get above that. Very distinctly, you can see right over here. In fact, let me delete this. We need to get above that 120.75 to 118.14 billion level. Above that, we have a straight shot to 138 basically, right? Finally, if we flip this, that's when we go to target 2024 seller zone, 2021 rather, seller zone here in this case. Others against BTC, below the important trend line, we need to be above, right? I do really want us to be above this. I mean, you can do this as well, right? Just for like a last ditch effort. There's your absolute range extreme of a trend line, but this one's where the actual structure is, right? So we need to reclaim that structure. If that happens, the fair shot, we actually bounce up again, right? Based on others against BTC, altcoin strength. There's a very fair shot altcoin strength goes up again, but below all that structure, if that's resistance, then I just don't like the look of it, right? I want to see a very clear reclaim here. Do this and do this. Total DeFi dominance, range lows, nothing much to see. Like literally, what was once resistance, still support for now. Can't be surprised if it get bounces off here. And last but not least, others dominance. This looks like absolute death, right? It was looking good up here, and then yeah, that looks terrible. We need to go and reclaim that sort of mid-level here very fast. If you can reclaim that mid of that range, we can target range highs. But below that mid, anything we get to the move to the upside, you can literally conflate that with just fake cap bounce, dead cap bounces, right? We want that dominance of others to actually increase. We don't want it to make global highs and just keep dying. That's something we don't want. Total 3 against BTC, lower highs and lower lows for now. It was looking good here. It was looking good, and then until it wasn't, right? Still lower highs and lower lows for now. So again, even in total 3 against BTC, no signs of strength yet, right? At this stage, I just want us to go and fill that 886. This isn't like a proper, perfect harmonic in the sense, there's a liquidity rate up there. But if you look at this on like the higher time frame, I'm taking that as it is, just a rate of the 886 level, right? So for me, this would be a valid bat should it hit, right? So I'm gonna watch for that 886 to hit. If you get it, this is the next area. Of course, you have your historical support resistance down at the area as well. If that hits, that's the next area we would then think, okay, maybe altcoins do start to show strength against Bitcoin here, right? Either that or you comfortably stay above this box and make your way to the 0.55, 0.73, so on and so forth. Now, Bitcoin against gold. Bitcoin's still bleeding against gold, and this is a big reason, right? I touched on this last stream we did a few days ago, but this is a big reason for why we're seeing what we're seeing right now, right? You can go back and you can take a look at Bitcoin's chart. You can take a look at gold's chart, right? What you're seeing is what's been happening, right? So far, what's been happening is, in fact, let's see if we can do this, right? I'm gonna go to fresh chart. I'm gonna get off global liquidity index once, right? And here's the Bitcoin chart, let's say, right, just on Binance. In fact, I can probably go and do the index here. There we go. And then I'm also going to go ahead and overlay on top of this, which I forget how to do. I'm gonna overlay gold, okay? Which one is this? This one, right? Onada? Is that the best one? There. That looks hella weird. One sec. Let me delete that and do that again. One sec. XAU. New price scale, I'm guessing. Yeah, there we go. That's better, right? What you see is, if we take a look at this, right? What you see gold do, what you see typically as the correlation between Bitcoin and gold is, right? You see these moments where gold has an insane move up, right? And the one in blue, that's gold, right? You'll see gold has an insane move up, and what you see is Bitcoin follows what gold does, right? It's not a one-to-one, right? It's not. What happens when Bitcoin's going up, gold's consolidating. Look, when Bitcoin went boom this high, what was gold doing? Consolidation, right? Now, when Bitcoin isn't going up and consolidating, what's gold doing? Going up, right? So as long as you're in a risk-on market, right, and your fiat currency is being debased, which is going to happen anyway, right? Which is happening. That's one of the main reasons we trade risk-on assets, is to try and hedge against the debasement of our fiat currency. What we see very clearly is when gold is going sideways, Bitcoin is going up. When Bitcoin is going sideways, look, consolidation period, what's happening? Gold is increasing, right? When Bitcoin is increasing, what's happening? Gold is consolidating. When Bitcoin starts to consolidate, what happens? Gold goes up. We see this very, very clearly, right? So for that next impulse up on Bitcoin, what do we need then? Again, just going off patterns. Right? We know we want gold to be consolidating. If gold is not done, absolutely running to the highs, Bitcoin, the liquidity is not going to be rotating into Bitcoin, right? Gold's just going to be sucking up all that liquidity. So we want gold to consolidate. That's what we want, right? We want consolidation for gold, and typically during those consolidation phases is when we get that next macro leg up on Bitcoin, let's say, right? That's what we want. So looking for signs of consolidation on gold, right? Signs of perhaps this is topped out for now, local top, macro top, whatever, right? Just signs of top, consolidation, and then we'll get that liquidity rotation into Bitcoin. And of course, once Bitcoin goes, we can then expect that trickle down effect to ETH, to ALT, so on and so forth, right? But right now, all eyes on literally gold. And is gold going to start consolidating, or is it just going to keep going higher? Because if it keeps going higher, there's no point. People are just going to ride that wave, basically, right? That's where all their attention is going to be, right? So we want that consolidation to start for gold, basically. So that is all the macro that I wanted to go over. Is there anything else? No, not really. Okay, that's all the macro I wanted to go over. Okay, so just an update from what we were doing last time. The main thing is, for now, we're getting that rejection on USD stablecoin dominance, which is what we want to see. But Dixie's looking like he wants to base higher, and totals are currently backtesting breakdowns, right? So we need this to be reclaimed. We can't let it be like, look, because otherwise you can see very clearly what's happening. Support has flipped to resistance, right? If we keep doing this, we're going to be met with further moves to the downside. So we want all these reclaims to be successful, basically. If you want, like, floors to hold, if you want supports to hold on the altcoins, you want these reclaims to be successful. Let me quickly check back to the chat. More crypto side today, bro. Because just a few days ago, right, we did macros. So just updating the macros, and then we can take it from there. Just a couple weeks, bro. Then I'm out again. Until I get most of the stuff I need to get done, basically, for the refurbishment. So with that being said, that's the update, right? There we go. Let's then take a look at the crypto side of things today. So let's go to focus. First things first, Bitcoin. Beautiful. Locally speaking, anyway, that is beautiful, right? There we go. What we were saying last time, we were saying, look, if you want to de-risk, as long as you are below 108 to 109, to basically this entire block over here, right? As long as this block is resistance, you have way more room to the downside, right? So if you're going to manage your risk, if you're going to have a cutoff point, a line in the sand, is going to be acceptance underneath that. What we're seeing right now is that weekly close happened above your 2024 high. Very pivotal, right? Above. It would be even better if it happened above your previous previous biannual mid, right? Or which is at the 109,573 level. It didn't, is what it is, right? Currently we're going up. You're above that for now. So ideally what I want to see is some sort of check back to actually show us, yes, this is now support, this is support, get some sort of structure in here, right? And then after structure, once you flip these into support, you have a really nice shot to long this, maybe back towards all-time highs again, right? If not, all-time highs, 1 on 1965, 114, 115, it's just quickly looking at the chart. And then after that, probably all-time highs. But for now, Bitcoin is hanging on by the skin of its teeth around that very, very important level. If this ends up being if this weekly close here in 6 days and 7 hours ends up being below 108,287 and 107,180, it's going to look pretty nasty, I can't lie. One red candle, two red candles, and then another red candle that was grinding down. That'd be really, really nasty, right? But for now, it's what it is. So again, the levels don't change, right? The levels haven't changed. 111,965, 109,573, 108,287, 107,180. If you want to scalp, if you want to do anything, your validations to maybe get back into some trades, it's all going to be around these levels, right? So there's the same levels on the screen. Nothing much else to say. Bitcoin, nice last few days, right? Just grinding back up in terms of the actual price. Let's see if we can, maybe get a check back, like flip this into support. If we get some sort of bullish structure coming in here now, scalp the swing longs on Bitcoin will be completely fine, right? With time validations here. ETH. So ETH has this, right? I was looking at this the other day. I already had this on my screen when we did the last stream, but obviously I didn't actually go over the Bitcoin and the ETH charts properly, so on and so forth. So that's the reason I didn't mention last time, but ETH has this, right? So where ETH bounced off is a BAT. I don't know if any of you had this on your screen, but 464, 744, 886, 2.24, that's a BAT, right? That's a very nice BAT. This could be seen as a type 2 that gave a higher low, right? Because technically you did reject basically of the 0.5. That's still a valid type 2. So, but where we currently are, of course, we know we're above the key inflection area. We know we're above the very, very important level right over here, right? As long as we're staying above this level, we're good. So you have a very, very distinct zone right over here. You can take as a key inflection area on ETH currently, right? With current price action in mind, this zone right over here. Incorporating the T1 of your BAT, and also incorporating just like historical deviations you've had below this range boundary, you have a really, as long as that is support, there's nothing bearish about the ETH chart, nothing, right? If this turns to resistance, that's when the entire script flips on its head. For now, we're still above, but do we remain above? Can we reclaim with strength? Are we going to SFP, grind slowly down again to maybe tag the 886 once more? We'll have to see, right? But again, invalidations are going to be around those range highs, right over here, right? Your historical range highs. So if you compare ETH against Bitcoin, then rejecting off the trend line, not surprising, right? We drew this trend line last time as well. If we get a breakout, nice. If not, we don't. It's what it is. On the 4 hours, we're at support, right, on the lower time frame rather, let's say, right, this is support. But if this sort of structure here is lost, here support resistance, if this structure here is lost, I do think the next stop would probably be the fixed range volume profile macro mid, right? Of course, you've got the 2020 yearly mid, but since you've already bounced off it and you put another lower high in, if we break down from here, I would think we probably get the actual box this time. Maybe rate those lows and then reclaim and go, something like that, right? But let's see if we even lose the box to begin with. Still, this chart still doesn't look bad, by the way. ETH against BTC still doesn't look bad. It just looks good, right? Going back to the Bitcoin chart, something to quickly look at is this. So the daily holding, the daily 10. Actually, let me see what settings I've got. I always forget what settings I have for everything. So the black is the daily 200. The yellow is the daily 200 EMA instead of SMA. So basically, the 200 in terms of both SMA and EMA have held, right, on the daily, and of course, the way you're looking on the weekly, if you just keep going sideways here, this orange line is going to grind higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. So by the time we actually tap, the 50-week moving average might actually be even higher than where it currently is, right? Which would actually mean that, okay, if it holds, Bitcoin's probably not going to go as low as people think it is. So we'll have to see what happens here. Do we get a crash into this level before bouncing? Do we just go sideways for a bit longer? Just absolutely bore people to death, stress out people while this slowly climbs up? We'll have to see, right? But the weekly 50 is still below us, and that's still the one magic line that's been keeping us afloat this entire cycle, right? So we'll see how that plays out. Okay, so we looked at Bitcoin, looked at ETH. Let's take a look at some of the alts. So let's begin with SWI. Hang on, I've got so many different canvases. SWI is here. I need to do completely fresh ones for these, to be honest. One sec. This one is for the bonk. Yeah. I mean, in terms of that is a very, very nice. We're still above a very, very nice area on SWI. That's a beautiful check back. Honestly, this is so crazy to see, right? Because you just don't think something like this is gonna happen, and you just go and retest your entire buy-seller zone from like your previous 2 years. Absolutely ridiculous. SWI is one of my biggest holdings for spot. I've been very vocal about this for a very long time. I think SWI does, on the long term, I think SWI has the potential to do really, really well, which is why it is. Also, we can do something like this, for example, right? There we go. Trend held. I know it's a bit arbitrary, but hey, that's a low, that's a tap, and for now, that's another tap, right? That's demand, so that's valid for now. $2. You don't want to break below $2 on a long-term hold basis. You do not want to break below $2 because if that happens, $1.23, and no two ways about it. Realistically, like if you accept below $2, you're going to $1.23, right? It's going to happen. So as long as you're above $2, ultimately I think this grinds higher, right? This grinds higher. But locally speaking, what do we have, right? Let's take a look. Locally speaking, what is there in this coin? I mean, these wicks just ruin everything. Like no M shapes, nothing to speak of because of those wicks. To buy seller zone. I can do something for this candle. I'll do it and I'll put it on. I'll put it on the chat. One sec. So this is 2024. go. Nice tap into there on the 17th, right? That was the low, the 2024 12-month macro bar zone mid. So very, very easy, extremely easy here for if you want to get into some fresh sweep positions, right? Here, you can do 20-40-40 here, or you can just do one bang, something like this, right? You can just one bang it. If you can't be asked, you just want to be, yeah, I'm just going to bid and I'm just going to forget about it. If you want to do something like that, you can do something like this. If you want to increase your risk appetite, you're doing something like this. For me, 36% is wide. So if you do something like this, you're not going to go all in here, right? I just wouldn't do that because 36% after going all in is just long. So depending on how wide your stop loss is, which wick you're putting it to, depends on what entry model you're going with, right? If you want to keep it tight, you know, you could do a time frame aligned entry. You could go for like a 4-hour entry, for example, right? Like a, you know, because the lower your time frame, the tighter your risk management is going to be, but also the higher the chance you're actually going to get wicked out because your playing level is way very, very tight, right? But for SWE, as long as you remain above this box, right? As long as you get closes above this box, very clear to see, $2.29 to $2 literally. As long as you're getting closes above that box, realistically speaking, we're going to be going higher, right? This was one freak of nature crash, but if we can literally just we can just sit here and we can see if I can just do this, right? Something like this, or even something like this, something like this. As long as we're above this, we're going to be grinding higher, right? So there's your bid on SWE. If you want to enter spot, you can do like maybe like, you know, 40% here, 60 if you go down, slash if we reverse trend on the lower time frame, right? On the 4 hours downtrend, so on and so forth. So 20-40-40 is probably the best bet, right, for SWE. Obviously, my SWE entry for my main position is very, very low, right? For spot, I don't need to worry about adding anything to my main portfolio because that's something that's already been done, right? I'm literally just holding. For the challenge account, there's what we already had in spot for SWE. I've not got rid of any, right, for SWE. And then maybe if you get on one more stab down to this level, right, and we see buy stepping in, I'll add more. But literally very, very distinct level right over here to manage your entries and exits around SWE. You zoom out, you look at it, you go to the higher time frame and you can get it much, much easier right there. As long as you're above this, this is what you're after. $4 plus, right? That's what you're after. So that is SWE. Let's go over the majors first. So SWE, then we're going to look at, if we go to focus, let's look at AVAX. Nasty ass. One sec. All of this can get deleted. In fact, AVAX, I can probably just look at it from here. Is it worth getting rid of AVAX? Do I hold it? Let's see, one sec. Look like a clown in it. Arrows 250% up, and what we've met with is this instead. Insane, man. Right, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Oh wait, I got another one. Maybe this one. Yeah, okay, very simple look on AVAX first. The reason I still like the look of AVAX is the high time frame thesis that's still there, right? Yeah, we rated the lows, but realistically, well, one way you could look at it if you're optimistic enough is, look, supply line, supply line, supply line, breakout retest, right? Also, held. One sec. Let me. The green one, is that valid? Yeah, from that high to that, that's valid. So as long as we are above this, this is where you would be looking to build a position on AVAX, right? Not sell. If this is to get breached, right, you start losing this, that would become really, really nasty. In terms of trend, right, trend over time, that would become really, really nasty. In terms of just horizontals, obviously people wouldn't, if you trade just horizontals, you're not going to give a shit about this. But if you also trade horizontals mixed with diagonals, then as long as you're above this, AVAX still looks decent, right? And of course, locally speaking, we've got this right over here, right? We're at the lows of that. Maybe we target the highs again around 40. There's just so many ways you can put these down. There we go, right? There's another one. Let me change the color of this one. Right, just so it's there. Right, there's another one from that high to that high. We can see rejection, another rejection there. So no matter how you look at it, we're compressing extremely hard on AVAX. Ooh, you get even better views on this. One sec. On logarithmic, hard to do it like this, right? Yeah, that's really nice. Well, you can do it like that, of course, there as well, but that right there is so tight on AVAX, right? It's extremely easy to visualize why this is, at the end of the day, opportunity. It's opportunity, right? You know, you drop and you turn this to resistance. You don't need to hold this. You don't. But you hold this, you keep holding it, you keep grinding up, and if you eventually get that breakout, this can go again. Like XRP did the same thing, XLM did the same thing. We know a lot of these things do the same thing. Whenever that rotation happens, we can't predict when the rotation is going to happen, right? What we can do is look at where we are on the chart, how we can manage our risks, and then just base our entries, base our thesis of that. And as long as this holds right here, 2021, 2023, 2025, if this properly holds now, I still have, like, I'm still optimistic with AVAX, right? I'm still optimistic. It might not happen. In that case, it's what it is, right? But in this area, it's very easy to take a one-sided bet, right? There's many ways you can manage a risk in an area like this. If you wanted to keep it very, very sort of tight, you could literally just do this and be like, okay, look where we are. If we start accepting below this gray box, right, you start turning this into resistance, $19, $18 into resistance. You don't want to be holding this just for the sole reason that if we cannot get above and reclaim, then there's always a chance then, historically speaking, as long every time we've dropped below this area, what's happened? Well, you've had drops down to $13 minimum, right? So you get to 13, and if you lose 13, you're going to go single digits even, right? So it's very easy to manage your risk here on AVAX as well, right? Which is why, given the fact that AVAX is literally around our average entry, right? In fact, in the green right now in terms of average entry, and it's so easy to cut, I'm just going to be playing this, right? If this turns to resistance, there's no point in holding AVAX from a technical standpoint, right? Not a fundamental standpoint, from a technical analysis standpoint. But where we currently are, even though it doesn't look nice, you don't have to bet everything you have right now. You could open up half your position size, like I said, and wait for the other half to add based on actual like structure or something like this, right? Which we don't have yet. We don't have bullish structure yet. But it's one thing that is very easy to do here is manage risk, right? That's the big thing. So AVAX above this box, I like it, right? Send it back towards 34. Eventually, when we break out, let's go take our 63, and maybe we finally go to hit that $80 target we've been waiting for a long time on AVAX, right? In terms of the macros, okay. I'm gonna say for log. One sec. I mean, technically it's going to be there still on linear too, but it's just nicer to look at on log, right? It's way nicer to look at on log. There we go. And of course, AVAX, we have, where's the macro? That's not the one. That's not the one. That's not the one. What the hell? I don't know where it's just disappeared to. You guys know what I'm talking about, isn't it? It's the like the targets that's actually there for AVAX. In fact, question is, are those targets even still valid because of that drop there? One sec. Ooh. Now that would have been a good fill if we got it. 786, 1.272 in terms of the ABCD. That would have been an amazing fill. Yeah, I wish that filled, even though even though most people wouldn't have got filled for anything, just from a TA standpoint, that would have been nice. I mean, we can do this. I don't know where everything's gone. Just look at it in terms of that. So we dropped to standard deviation too low, right? Macro fixed volume profile, standard deviation too low. Nice ping above your macro point of control. You're above your that wave structure from the left, 886, still you're above that. So your macro thesis on AVAX still stands, and also local area, easy to manage your risk. So again, if you wanted to add AVAX at these particular prices, right? If you wanted to know how would you cut from where we currently are, I'd do it like we just discussed, right? Just like this. Very easy area to manage your risk on AVAX. Next, we have Doge. Doge looks fantastic still, in my opinion. It does look good, right? Above that key area. In fact, again, let's go to a cleaner chart. Delete that. No longer valid. Let's turn off the buy seller zones once. One sec. Let's go over here. Smiley face was lethal here on Doge. Smiley face with the M shape. Should I just do it fresh? I think I'll just do it fresh. Can't be asked to do that. Yeah, let's do it fresh. Here. There we go again. Let's look at it just simple first, right? Let's look at Doge very, very simply first. Very, very simply. There. Very clear level, right? And on log, that level was respected right there. And we have this. We have our next consolidation phase right here on Doge. Eventually this will break out. Now whether it's to the upside or to the downside, who knows, right? But I'm honestly hoping, hopefully, like if this cycle is not over, give us a dollar Doge, give us a $1.20 Doge. That'd be absolutely amazing. Breakout to the upside for me would be just go towards a $1.20. I'd sell everything I have in terms of Dogecoin, right? Again, if we break down from here and we turn this area into resistance, right? We get that flip to the downside. I'd be looking to get rid of these targets here, right? 0.05 lower, so no point holding below that in my opinion. Because again, we've got this trend from 2022, 2021-ish. A breach of that's going to be serious, right? Doge, very, very simple. The reason what I don't like about it right now, is the fact that off that low, we've already had a nice wick up, right? There's already been a really nice wick up on Doge. So let's do that. I mean, it works even if it's not logged. This works, but now, of course, we can go and we can do it with 0.55. Beautiful. I mean, genuinely beautiful. It's like, no matter, you can put it, let's say you put it somewhere down there. Right, this is the 2023 low. So that's the low of, let's say, the Bitcoin bottomed out sometime around here, and then so did many of these altcoins. So if we take that as a wave structure, right there. Now you can even if you do this, it's still valid, right? But I like it from this low here. So from where this particular move up started. 0.5, 0.886. That is beautiful. 764. We know that's a thingy number. What am I trying to say? That's a fib number, right? This is your macro BAT 0.886. So if we do this, This is when the harmonic hit, and we don't need a lot of these, so let's keep it very simple. I'm only going to leave the golden zone on, okay? We haven't even hit T1 yet. We could do something like this, elongated, before we go higher, to be honest, right? Where we currently are, anything you do on Doge is going to be, let's say if you look at this on leverage, right? Your first target, and you're trying to target this. We want to see acceptance above this, right? Obviously, we want the acceptance above T1. So if you scalp this, if you scalp the swing this, any lower time frame plays you take on this is going to be with the target being between 23 and 24 cents in mind. You flip that, you can run it to 618, 66, so on and so forth, right? And if you want to enter this locally, let's see if we can do this. Here. Since we know the structure's off, right, in the sense that obviously we're not going to put our stop loss below 10 cents if you enter a 19, 50% down. These are the levels you can just manage your risk around. If you time frame a line, if you want active risk management, right there. And again, you guys know why, right? That is your candle from 2022. That's your seller zone from 2022. If you wanted, more levels, of course, you can go ahead and put that down, right? For example, here. Bad color choice, one sec. There. Right, you can easy target 45 cents, for example, right? You get above 19 to 21 cents. On the local time, on the local price action, you've got T1, T2, so on and so forth. But above T2, your next target will be 45, and above that, you've got this really nice 1.618 to the all-time high area, right? Above that, $1, $1.20 would be where it goes, in my opinion. So Doge, very easy, right? In terms of if you wanted to actually manage your risk, looking at local price action, right? Because again, putting a stop loss below this is going to be nasty work. Here's the lines in the sand: 0.215, 0.19229, 0.16958. Very simple here. If you come to the bottom and it holds, you can literally take a scalp to swing or a scalp long to the upside, just playing the range, ditto, so on and so forth, right? So when you have structures like this, where you've had massive liquidation wicks and you've had insane buybacks, it's going to be hard to play those until you get. But if you base what's going on around historical levels, right? At least you have a thesis, like, okay, yeah, all this shit has happened, but currently, whatever reaction we got based off this level, that level, and therefore I don't really care about this. I'm just going to manage my level, manage my risk, manage my TPs, manage my validations around these levels. If you do it that way, something that looks complicated like this, all of a sudden, is you're breaking into much more digestible strategies, right? We're still taking that wick into account because we know that liquidation sent us to an 886. Great, but the macro structure is now defined. As long as this harmonic isn't invalidated, we have a wave structure, we have a framework that will give us our first target, our second target, and our extension target, right? But that doesn't mean you're going to get a good entry. Like if you missed the 886 and we've had this insane move up, of course, it's not an ideal entry. Like if you enter here, the only way for it to be logical is if your TP1 is literally 1.618. That's how the RO is going to be worth it. If your stop loss is going to be below this risk, otherwise it's not, right? So then next question is, okay, we've got a framework, and the framework's telling me as long as buy step in here now, our target's at the upside. So how can you now join that, right? And then you now break it into more digestible pieces using historical TA, strategies. You could be using my strategies, you could be using strategies from someone else, but that's how you do it, right? You break something bigger down into pieces and then you take it bit by bit like that. So right now, these are the 3 key levels you've got on Doge right here. You get above this, you've got other buyer seller zones you can put on, right? You've got that one there, you've got this one already put on, so you've got this one here if you wanted even more data, right? In fact, one sec. Total area where buyers were in control is right over here. Let me turn off the one. Oh. No, sorry, no, yeah, let me leave the one on. Everything there is fine. even more of a confluence here, right? If you look at it like this, that area we're at right now, not only is it from 2022, is the one we looked at, it's also the mid of the area where bars were in control, total from 2024, right? So we know as long as we stay above this on Doge, we've got a very clear shot up towards 21. And seeing as that's where we are, if you get one more stab towards this level on the lower time frame and you see bias, you can use order flow, right? Look at footprint charts, look at VLO, look at, look at, God, my mind's gone absolutely blank. Look at TPOs, right? Look at market profile. You guys have got the actual like tools to use now, right? As long as we're above this, it should be very obvious why we can't be surprised if we go to rate that out next. And if we get above that, this, like, you can play level by level if you don't want to hold for higher time frame right now because you're a bit too worried about what might happen, right? But either way, we're at very actionable areas right now. Don't get it twisted. For Doge, it's very, very actionable, especially if, like, we get like I said, you stay below this. If you get below this, just don't long. You reclaim, that's your trigger to long, right? As long as you're above, you're long in, and your invalidation is simply, does this turn to resistance? If it doesn't, hold that long. But if you get below and accept below, just cut. Very simple. Because if you stay above, eventually you're going to go for 0.215. You get above that, this, so on and so forth, level by level, right? I'm talking here more on a leverage perspective, more on a trade perspective now, right? Not just like a spot hold perspective. You can enter this with spot. You can enter with spot and put your invalidation, right? And the thing is, if you want to enter spot here, you can literally enter with spot and just make your invalidation like a leverage play if you wanted to. But if you want to be really, really protective of buyer capital right now, there's so many ways you can play this, right? But Doge, another one I think, like, in terms of framework, decent, right? Where you are, decent, very, very decent. Take a look at hype. Oh my god, retest right to the middle of the heartland. That is ridiculous, bro. That is crazy. And after all that, you're literally back above 2024 all-time high. Hype, yeah, that's good. Hang on. Let me get rid of these. Oh, one sec. I've got the opportunity finally. Nah. This is for a clean slate anyway, so we're gonna do that. Okay, so that liquidation wick on hype literally raided the entirety of the seller zone, right? From the seller zone from 2024. Realistically speaking, it's not even like a 12-month thing because we can see the data comes in literally from like 16th of December 2024. But since it's got a yearly candle there, I'm just going to take that, right? But it's going to be the same whether it's a 3-month, so on and so forth. The key thing is that's the on the higher time frame, that's the seller zone, and you can drop down on the weekly as well, of course, and then you can go, okay, here's your seller zone on the weekly. There. As long as you're above this on hype, I mean, I don't see why you would be bearish, right? It's like you raided, you held, literally. I will not be comfortable with this entry actually. Maybe we get a smiley face here. Yeah, let's not be too hasty with the long, because we can do this. First top was technically that one, raid. Yeah, so if you come down, it gives us a smiley face. I think this would be a very, very nice entry here on hype around 35.51. If it doesn't give us a smiley face, we just watch, right? Because at this stage, instead of just buying in the middle of nowhere, I'd rather just wait for, even if it's slightly more expensive, like maybe like a trend shift or even just breakout retest, anything of the sorts, right, before getting in. But honestly, like look where you are. Like higher time frame, as long as you're maintaining above your higher time frame levels, especially 35.51 to 32.00, right? Or rather 35.51 to 29.79. As long as you're maintaining above this, the argument should be for upside, not downside. Right? That's the way I see it. And of course, you can put the liquidation wick down for extra confluence as well. Which just so happens to line up perfectly with the previous year mid. Like we can see, we've got a very, very crucial zone here. As long as we're above this for hype, this area here, as long as we're above this, I'd be looking for higher prices on hype. Right? That's what it is. In fact, I just see something. One sec. So we got, that is perfect. There we go. That is also a parallel channel, right? You're at the mid of the parallel channel. So if you can get above the hard line, then we go higher. And if there's a very parallel channel, then that means, of course, there we go. I can go ahead and delete the parallel channel. So this to this, there we go. There we go. So we just leave the 12 months on for now. There's the trend line. Just bund that off. Golden pocket bounce, right? So if we can get back above the 0.5, we know what we're targeting. Just range bound right now on the golden pocket. Maybe we get one more drive down to the liquidity rate of the golden pocket, but if not, it's what it is. But this gives us a nice view, because if we do now the 1 to 2, depending on when it gets there, let's say we get like end of November, December-ish, right? 2025, $59 to $60 for hype, for liquidity rate of range extreme. And then if you want to go to price discovery, first golden pocket is going to be between 69 to something, right, by the end of December, let's say. And if, let's say, starts of 2026, end of 2025 is truly when we do get some sort of alt season, then you've got targets all the way up towards around 79.80 for hype, potentially, right? But again, the main thing here is just look at where we are. Very easy to manage risk, very easy to see why you would want upside above this certain area in the chart, right? And there's many coins looking like this. Of course, not everything's got good structure, which is why I still exercise a bit of caution in terms of entries, right? You don't have to full port, max lev, or just buy everything at once when we haven't shifted trend even on something like the 4 hours back to the upside yet. But looking at these coins, there are areas where you wouldn't be surprised if this price action carried on and we didn't accept below, eventually if we rebounded higher, right? Because we're at major supports. So Injective, I honestly don't really care about it right now. I'm not going to have this in my portfolio. Ondo, another one. Look where we are. Super easy. Super easy to manage risks on Ondo. Look at it. Very simple. 2024 mid. As long as you're above that, you go higher. If you start losing that as support, right? And you can give yourself like an order block here, for example, as a like a little zone. If you start getting below that, just don't be an ondo, right? Just get rid of it. You can always enter back in as soon as you get above this, right? But range lows in terms of this, obviously the lows have been rated at the lows, easy to manage risk. Ondo is another one. I'm going to do this a bit quicker now, guys, because I really need to eat some food. I've not ate anything all day. But Ondo, hopefully, the reason I'm showing this is hopefully you guys can spot the opportunity, right? I know it's when you've had a huge liquidation event like this, it can get scary. And I know I said be careful last time, but that's because Bitcoin, when we last spoke, was literally breaking below the levels we needed to hold. Right now, Bitcoin's broken back above again, right? So I know it can be a bit whiplashy, but that's a trading environment. You just got to be able to adapt, right? So when you have opportunity like this, if you see a good R opportunity, you see it, literally the lows, right? You see super important level being held. You see, okay, it's holding for now, but stepping in. Even if it's not spot, if you just want to leverage trade, just quick trade, you just want to intraday trade, literally, trade for 3, 4, 5 hours. If you manage to catch it, just take the play, right? Just take the play. Not financial advice, of course, but it's, moments like this, there's no, think about it like this, no edge here, no edge here, no edge here. You have an edge here, right? You have an edge to the upside because you know exactly where your invalidation is. Invalidation is as close as it can be. Once you go all the way up over here, what do? You wait for this, you wait for this, it becomes really hard, right? So if you're going to buy some spot out over here, if you're going to, as long as you're above this, it's fine, right? If you're going to take a leverage play out over here, again, as long as the structure's on your side, as long as you're above the key levels you need to be, it's worth it. As long as you lose, as soon as you lose that, right, you get invalidated, just cut. That's all it is. No emotions, no what if something happens. Just take the play that's in front of you, right? Leave everything else for later. Absolute shitcoin, pal, right? This is why you always wait for key levels to be flipped for entry. That level we were talking about for pal never got flipped into support. Where is it? Which one did I put it on? Is it this one? One sec. It's one of these. This one right here, right? Never got flipped into support, look. Resistance, 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 boom, down. Now, if that 1.13 hits, I would be open to actually looking to get some of this because you're at the bottom of your falling wedge. This is your next key area now, right? Forget about this, that's no longer possible. Forget about this, that's no longer possible. This is what we're now interested in. Obviously, that 8.86 is no longer valid. We're way past that being valid. That's fine. Let's leave that on for now. Realistically, you'd hope that you don't lose that 1.13, right? Because if you get this, you've literally rated like your 2023 lows. But I'm just drawing what potentially could be. So for this, I'm just gonna, come on, bro. There. And 1.618 for a deep crab. The reason I'm not bidding here, I'm not trying to catch a falling knife for no reason. Either give me my key levels and some sort of structure, or I'm not interested. Right there. So let's keep an eye on this. We'll see how it progresses. Let me go ahead and add an alert on PAL there so I don't miss it should it happen. There. Say, another one. Look where we are. Look where we are, right? You're at the precipice of a breakout in terms of that falling wedge. Right there. And also, once again, as long as you are above the red box, as long as you're above this zone, which is of course your previous range, right? As long as you're above your previous range, this is the area where you would be bidding say. This is the area where you would want some say. Now, given the fact we're just below 2024, you can literally wait for a flip of that if you want, right? Like, obviously, if you're scalping now, you're not going to long this when it's just rejected off a key level like this. So just wait until it either goes maybe back into the box or until this gets flipped. No point entering in the middle. But on the higher time frame, again, if you look at where SA is, you can get rid of this here. That's fine. We no longer need these, right? The 886. This, we no longer need that. Don't need this. Random boxes. Macro shock. That's all I care about at this particular stage. We're at that completion point of the two shocks, right? We're still at the completion point of the two shocks, especially that macro shock right there, the 886. We're still above that macro shock. We're still basically in play. Remember, harmonics don't have a time target, right? There's no timing with harmonics. So even if we got to move up, it wasn't meant to be yet. We've come back down, but as long as we maintain the harmonic framework, eventually the 618, the 382, so on and so forth, we will be going to hit it. So I'm not going to count that as the low. This is going to be the low for me. The move right there, right? These will still become targets in the future. So get rid of this, and this for now. Let's keep it simple. 47 to 51 cents, 75 to 80 cents, maybe $1.77 if this thing goes into price discovery, maybe, right? But again, say another one, just like Ondo, just like Doge, so on and so forth, right? Very easy area to manage your risk. If you ever lose that, basically Shark 86, you ever breach that high, just get rid of it until you back above again. Very simple. Solana, it's a high cap, of course, and with this, if you're going to leverage trade, right, if you're going to scalp, it's way better to do it with Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, so on and so forth, rather than majority of other coins, I'd say, right? Bitcoin and ETH being, of course, my favorites. Solana's also up there. Like, this is very nice to scalp, guys. It's like, I feel like most people underestimate how much money you can make just scalping these coins, right? If I wasn't so busy with my own hedge fund, with my second restaurant, so on and so forth, I would be scalping the hell out of this, right? Typically, I'm either a swinger or a scalper, and the market conditions over the last few months have vastly favored scalping, right? I just haven't had the time to do it, right? Which is why if I'm not going to have dedicated time, if I don't have the time to dedicate, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to half-ass it. But you can make a lot of money just scalping these ranges, right? You're literally just scalping these ranges. You've got a lot of key levels for these high caps. So Solana, let me again go to a clean one. Let's keep this simple, right? Which one do I have? What's on? A lot of levels on there. Here, that's a nice view. Retest. So the high, rejection, support. As long as you're above that downtrending line, in my opinion, you go higher. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you could do something like this on Solana, and you could say, okay, are we setting up some sort of massive smiley face around what used to be a liquidity pocket? We could be, right? If this holds, at the end of the day, the smiley face could be validated. Here's your initial support, radon liquidity, massive, reconfirmation of support. If the smiley face does play out, you'd want something like this, right? But again, very, very easy to manage risk here on Solana. Like, you can literally just look at this previous low that came in, right? In fact, I'll do this. Looking at that, I'll do this. Current cycle. This right over here. If you start turning this into resistance, you can cut. Otherwise, as long as you're above this, you can hold, right? Very simple. You can see that thesis for yourself. If you start turning this into resistance, well, you're turning what was once support and what was once the area where you put the left of your shoulder in, right, for a potential smiley face. If you start losing that structure, then there's no point holding with everything you have, right? That's when you would start being cautious, start being careful. So again, on Solana, very easy, very, very easy to form a thesis on how you should be entering this. I'm just trying to figure out, what is this on the 3 months? I think it is. That's the macro read on the 3 months, isn't it? Ah, wait, no, it's the 6 month buyer zone, yeah. So previous buy and your buy zone. Hopefully something like this, right? I want that structure to maintain. That'd be nice. But yeah, look, resistance, 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 breakout. As long as you retest above this, I don't see why you wouldn't go higher. You've got this range that gets bigger over time, but resistance, resistance, support, resistance. As long as this area becomes support now, Solana, in my opinion, goes higher. So if we come down over here, I'll be adding to Solana, right? Simple as that. Above this level, I'm happy with the position I have. I'm not going to add anything. If we come over here, that's where I'll be adding. If we start turning this to resistance, that's where I'll begin to cut. That's all. SWI we've looked at already, right? It's just very, very key levels here. Again, very, very easy. These two I don't care about, right? So that's the majors, right? That's the majors. Now, if we look at this, there's a few more coins I want to talk about, right? KTA first. The reason I want to talk about this is because it had an insane run and it had an insane dump as well, all the way back to where we started. Right, we can see everything got raided. These are the kind of, if you're gonna buy some spot, these are the kind of ones where you want to sort of like put some in, right? Now there was better charts for KTA on the actual Uniswap charts, but for some reason the Uniswap charts have stopped working on TradingView for me for KTA, so I have to go with the incomplete version here. But KTA, just looking at this, I mean that's a raid of the listing low, right? And many charts are even fresher than that. So it's finally out on MEXC as well, I think. So you can buy spots on MEXC and just take it off exchange, store it on a wallet somewhere. But KTA is one, literally, I don't need to do TA. You can look at this and you can understand why I'm mentioning it, right? It's like you've rated everything, it's at the lows, SFPs. So it's very, very easy to invalidate if you are wrong on buying this, right? Asta, you don't have much structure yet. No structure telling you, oh, you need to be bidding this, bidding this, bidding this, right? But I will be interested in adding some Asta just because it's CZ, right? If it's CZ, I'll have a bag, so I'll be keeping an eye on this one. But no structure yet. That makes me excited on this, right? But many coins were looking like this. Look, SWI was looking like this before we went. Save was looking like this before we went. So I will be keeping a close eye on this one, right? Asta. Let's take a look. What else do we have? Aether pumped and dumped all the way down to the lows. Not interested. Brett. I mean, I still think Brett as a meme will do pretty well. But again, right now, no structure to make me excited. Where you are on the chart gets me excited, right? This is the kind of place where you would genuinely buy a spot and forget about it if you wanted to own this for the long term. If you wanted a meme on the base ecosystem, you could buy some Brett, forget about it, right? But otherwise, I think right now, I'd probably bet most of my money on high caps, right? The only meme I hold right now is literally Apu, and that's red. Turbo, I don't know what this shit is. All I know is there was a completed wave. Oh, but saying that, that's the reason I have this. Look at that. How is that for TA? One sec, that is a beautiful, that's a downright gorgeous type 2. 1 second, 1 second. Get rid of the distractions. There we go. Tell me that is not the nicest type 2 you've seen in a while. 1 sec. So this, I'm guessing, is the yearly that I put down. 1 sec, guys. It's this random shitcoin I've never seen in my life. But no, not even the yearlies. Right, okay. Let's go over here and let's go to Turbo. And we're going to rechart that. I'm glad I looked at that actually, because this, get rid of everything else there. Okay. Seller zone. Is there any point putting the macro read on? No, there isn't. Okay, there's your seller zone. Then there is seller zone and seller zone. Buyer zone, seller zone. Realistically, that's all you need, right? I will make this blue. There we go. It's on the left, it's the yearlies. Okay, so you've hit the low. Weekly. Boom. That's all the levels you could want. As long as you are then above, in fact, it's not the nicest liquidity pocket actually, it's skinny as hell, but you can take that as a sort of area where interest came in right there. But I'm going to get rid of that. If we get turbo, I'm not going to buy anything here, right? Just because it's sort of in the middle of nowhere for me right now. But if this becomes 12-month buy seller zone, yeah, this is just other time frame buy seller zone. The key thing here though is that 1.13. Let me change the color of this to red. Same here. And then shark 1.13. That is an insane area. If this dips, like if we get one more dip of this, like down over here, I'd be interested in this asset. I would be, yeah. Just in terms of a framework, I'd be interested. I don't know what it does. I don't know what it is, but framework-wise, that's a Type 2 return, bro. That's a very, very clear Type 2 return that has been validated for now. Take a look. There, T1 hit, back down for a Type 2. So you wouldn't be surprised if the next move I've gave you T2 and perhaps beyond, right? Again, don't ask me what the project is. I'll just spacebar and find tickers that look like they've got good risk to reward opportunities. But this actionable. If you get down here, it's actionable. Otherwise, you can just wait for like a flip of one or something like this, right? Wait for that to be flipped for obvious reasons and then get in, because that is clear, very, very clear support resistance right over here. So as long as I'm below this, I'm either looking to take a play if we get down there or if we flip, not where we currently are. So let me just do something like this. Some other ones then. KTA, that's all good, right? Tau. The reason I like Tau because it's showing insane strength even though the market's been dumping. So right now you wouldn't buy it simply because of where you are, right? You look at the chart, look at where you are. Again, Tau was one of the originally called plays, so for a spot you guys should already be in, right? But I'm looking to add to my Tau position now should we finally get a breakout of this range right over here, right, for spot. The strength on this is just crazy. Look, if you compare the weekly chart on this to anything else, we know everything's been having reds, but Tau's been having green. Someone's been buying this up, even in the face of all of that sell pressure. Tau looks good. If you flip 440, it's a straight shot to 524 in my opinion. Look, you can literally set an alert for 2024 12-month seller zone low, and once you see that start to be flipped into support, whether that's on the 3 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you're scalping with, scalp the swing, scalps, whatever, well, you've got targets on your screen, right? You can spot it, full spot, you can spot trade, you can leverage, whatever, but Tau looks good. Tau's got strength, right? LTC is another one that was showing nice strength yesterday. Link's another one that's been showing strength, right? Floki pumped today because apparently Elon tweeted, like, whatever. It's random shit coins going off. But it's not like it's happening in the middle of nowhere. It's yearly levels, right? Not interested in this currently though, not where it currently is. Like either you reclaim key levels or that's done. Looked at that. PHB is one I was looking at because that 886 to 1.618 deep crab hit, right there. But again, until we flip the original 886 back into support, we're at resistance, so not interested. ICP looks trash. That's terrible. You can buy some, but as soon as you get below $2.85, you cut. Now Aptos, I cut a bit of my Aptos after I did the last stream, right? Well, I mean, obviously leverage for my leverage account with the flush, that's a lost cause anyway. That was what it was. But I was really hoping this would have held on Aptos, right? But right now, but even below 2022 12-month seller zone low, like we look at the yearlies, we're below 2022 12-month seller zone low as well, which I do not like. I do not like that whatsoever. So Aptos, I cut some. I will add back if you like. I'm going to rate the lows and it's successful. Otherwise, yeah, Aptos for me for now. I'm observing it from a distance, right? Because the strength is just not there right now. It's just not. It looks ready to actually. I don't think it will. I don't think it will drop like drastically. But the setup is there, and we're not going to be like, oh yeah, it's definitely not going to drop, right? I'm not going to say that with chess, and it ends up dropping. So yeah, add the lows right over here. If you're going to, if someone is now not in Aptos and wanting to get in, you've got a very good entry on your hands, right? But for me, I want to see some of this structure reclaimed before I get in. Hang on, this can go, 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 this can go even. When you look at it that way, you want a monthly close above 2022. It's like, yeah, being patient on Aptos is definitely could be rewarding, because look, 11 days, if the monthly close is below this, that's going to be the worst close in the history of Aptos, right? So why would you be holding into something like that? So until it reclaims, I'm eyeing Aptos from a distance. Just not going to be just praying that it does well. Cpool, apparently Rohan said it got delisted in the chat. I mean, it's our range lows. If you actually want to bid, again, you can see if someone wants to bid this, you have the easiest stop loss of your life. Very, very valid, easy stop loss, right? So Cpool, I might actually get back into this, because that is, not yet. I don't want to be spread too thin right now with alts potentially starting to show weakness. I don't want to be in a million different alts. So I'm only going to consolidate into a few bags for now. But Cpool, keep an eye on this, right? Maybe I'll do like a starter bag here for Cpool. But it's a valid RWA bet, bro, for Cpool, honestly, there. Something like this. And depending on, like, obviously what your risk tolerance is saying, it's going to depend on the stop loss. Do you want to put it below this wick? Do you want to put it below like a cluster of wicks like this? But that, even if you play it casual, something like that, not bad at all, right? Even to here, it's a valid trade, 7.71 RR. It's worth keeping an eye on Cpool for sure. Yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on it. Aero, another one I wanted to mention, because this one obviously is showing this one was showing nice strength on the move up. We made a killing off this one, 352%, right? Of the original entry, ran back to original entry. As long as you're above 2024 low, again, very easy level to manage risk around here. Okay, especially if we get one more pullback towards that 67 cent area and it holds, that's a very easy area for us to manage risk around Aero. Aave, this one's based on I can delete that. There's a load of spider webs on the screen. Look, we literally revisited like the lows. Talk about a type 2 return after you hit all your targets. Insane. Nothing much to it. This is from that high to that low. Yeah, that's fine. Aave for DeFi. I want something clean on Aave. Hang on. Let's look at this. It's got so much data. Even if you just do something simple like buy seller zones, you can see how much. And currently in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, not really interested at these particular areas. But you can see where would you be interested is if you start getting above this, that you get above that RV flies right there, right? That's what you want to get above on RV. Either that or you come and tap maybe one of these levels, 189, 170, so on and so forth before going higher. But again, what the advice I'd give right now is do not be in like 20 different altcoins, right? I'm not saying don't be in altcoins. I'm saying have that well balanced port, right? Especially if you have like rotated back into cash for some, when we talked about like, you know, what the trigger for that was last stream, and you got some cash, let's say. If you want to get into alts, I'll choose some high caps, right? And then maybe like a meme and like something, if it's lower cap, something you really believe in, not just some random chart, basically, right? Otherwise, just stay in high caps, bro. It's like, because if there's more volatility like this, and like, you know what I mean? It's like if we don't get that, you know, because even if we get that big alt rotation, the first coins that's going to go is not going to be, for example, Apu, is not going to be Bread, right? Those typically follow towards the end, right? It's going to be coins like Ethereum. It's going to be coins like Tau was showing strength. It's going to be coins like, you know, Link, maybe Filecoin, like, you know, Sui, so on and so forth, Solana, right? So I that's the advice I'd give if you're trying to rebalance your port. That's how I've rebalanced, right? My holdings were the biggest in terms of ETH and Bitcoin anyway. I had some Solana. I just put even more Solana into Sui because I think Sui gives a more percentage return, right? So Sui, Solana, ETH, Bitcoin. I've got AVAX. I've got Say. I've got Ondo. I've got I've got a couple more as well off the top of my head. Tau, that's the one. I've got Tau as well, right? And Apu. Apu is really in the red. That's my one meme hold right now. Speaking of Apu, Pepe. I think Pepe was looking really good when I looked at it yesterday in terms of where. Yeah, Pepe. Just take a look at where we are, right? Look, that's another Type 2 return. So I'm saying, look, 886 of the shark. Type 2. Yeah, we know there's that wick there, but that wick was there. That's the clearest liquidity rate you're going to see in your life, right? So, with that being said, Apu is at a very, very easy area to manage risk also. And hopefully if Pepe goes, right, if Pepe goes, hopefully Apu follows along, right? But Pepe's that's a very nice area for managing risk, right? Is around that 886 to the shark, very simple, right? You lose the 86 to the shark, you start closing below these wicks, you cut. It's as simple as that. But yeah, so that's a lot of thingies we've gone over. Alts underneath the Sui ecosystem. Challenge account. I don't own any more Cetus. I got rid of Cetus when I made the stream, just because, like I said, I wanted to consolidate, right? And Cetus is not going to be the first thing to go. I was hoping the strength would come in. The strength didn't come in, so that Cetus is going to be rotated into, like I said, more Sui itself, so on and so forth. I've still got some deep. I've still got some I've still got some send, and I've still got some blue, because these two are more coins there where you could actually, if you want to spot, could not be easier to manage your risk. Blue and send, both again sweet coins, very easy to manage your risk, right? I'm actually anticipating a raid of this because that's way too nice. I think this gets raided, but maybe if you want to take your bets, if you want to take your chances, wait for the raid to reclaim. If you don't think we're gonna get a raid, maybe, or if you just don't want to miss it, maybe get in with 40%, 50%, whatever here, and save the other half for if the raid happens, and if you start just closing below showing weakness, just cut whatever position you opened. But both send and blue under Sui, they're areas where you can manage your risk, right? But these are not what your biggest position would be, basically, right? Your biggest positions right now, maybe even honestly, ETH, Solana, Sui, right? Whatever strong right now. Tau is insanely strong, which is why I'm mentioning it. Things like that. Just that's what I'll be doing. If I was trading, I'll just be like trying to look for that next massive BTC long to 130k plus, probably, right? Or just flipping short, because if we've topped out, then you want to be building short positions somewhere around here. If you haven't, then you want to be looking into long. So we don't know what's going to happen. All we can do is go off what the chart's telling us, and in hindsight, it's going to be like, oh yeah, look, right? And aside from that, of course, ETH against BTC and OTC against BTC, those two I'm still like slowly on a daily basis just opening more and more long side positions on. Oh, and a final thing, I still do hold LDO as well, because LDO is still above everything I want it to be above. So LDO hasn't changed. It's literally still around entry for us. I still hold LDO. So that, I've been talking for a bit, but that was a stream I really wanted to. Oh, it's quite busy. What's up, guys? Sorry, I didn't realize how many of you actually came in. Zcash, that's another one. Yeah, Zcash has got insane strength. My original Zcash long got stopped out during the leverage flush. I just opened a new one afterwards, or after the flush was done. My spot, luckily, that's all safe. So let's go to focus. Yeah, Zcash, insane strength, bro. Look at no pullback, right? Like we were saying, like if you're gonna get a pullback, you want it to be like somewhere around the harmonic target and stuff. Is what we're saying. We're just no pullback whatsoever. Insane strength. What the hell? Oh, I was on focus. That's why. 1 sec. Yeah. No pullback to the areas we wanted, right? It's what it is. We didn't get it. Right over here then, do we get a impulsive rally that's going to make people chase, or do we get a retest? Let's see. I mean, we visited that, but I'd want to see something like this perhaps, right? Initial breakout. If you see trap traders there, you might be able to scalp short it back down to value. And again, you can use TPOs to try and help you with that if you're trying to look for like value, so on and so forth, right? And then hopefully that's something like that's what we get, right? Trap traders flush and then go. That's something I'd want to see. But if this just wants to go, it's what it is. That's what spot's for. But Zcash, insane strength, yeah. But would I enter here? No. Like, listen, buying spot here is going to be like, how are you going to manage your risk? Let's take a look. You just have to close it if you lost 259, in my opinion. Right, take a look. Well, no, realistically, not even 259. You're thinking of 216. Your stop loss would be if you lost 216. So that's a pretty wide range, right? Which is why I wouldn't recommend entering here for Zcash. I'm not going to give you guys entries that I wouldn't take, right? We were talking about this a lot. I mean, I know many of you weren't with me, let's say, when we were talking about this originally, but when entries are like this low, and I know a few people here, some of the girls and my bro Liquidity Cat, a few people have got bags from all the way down over here when we were originally talking about it, right? Not even in this group, maybe like in other groups and stuff. It's just one of those things, right? By the time this move up had happened, it's like you're already positioned, like you already need long-term bags, you've forgotten about it, and the next thing you know, it goes up. So right over here, I wouldn't be entering at these places. I would be trading it. I would not be entering with like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hold this for the longest time, right? I'd be trading it if I entered it here, just because it's premium. Like, look, this was where fair value was for the longest time. Now it's going back up. It's at a premium, right? So there's that. Of course, there was something else. There was Zen. If all these are going. Zen's had an insane move up. We made some nice money on this coin in this group before. That is a flip of a range, and let's see if we can get it. Just take a look on sec. Zen USD. Mitigated. Literally mitigated and hit. That was perfect. Okay, at this rate it's so simple on Zen. Here is your consolidation box. I think that's a fair enough consolidation box, depending on what time frame. Okay, so yeah, right there. Okay, so that's the yearly. So we'll just take it based off the yearly, right? That makes sense. Above the mid. So if you enter this here, if you enter Zen here, your stop loss is going to be basically, or rather invalidation is going to be, if the mid is lost, you're going to cut, right? Otherwise, you can see above this mid, you targeting range highs. If range highs get flipped, this thing can go, this thing can fly above the range highs. You're going to see some chop, take those out, but after that, all the way up towards 30, 40, 50, so on and so forth, right? So this is something to keep an eye on as well, in my opinion. Let me add this to the other one there. Again, don't spread yourself too thin. We've gone over a few today, so just choose some you like the look of. Have a like high cap, heavy port. I reckon you'll be fine, right? Especially if you're in spot. And invalidation, of course, is how is Bitcoin going to hold up against that all-powerful level we talked about last stream and also the start of this stream. But yeah, so that was everything I wanted to go over. Don't worry, this is recorded. People getting crazy though, seeing 900 ZEC by end of October. It's always like that, bro. It's like, maybe we get it, maybe we don't. Just at the end of the day, it's like, just play what we have, right? If we see weakness, just take some profits. We see, unless of course like a flash crash happens, because there wasn't really any major weakness before, like, you know, this everything flash crashed and we went from being everything fine to like, oh shit, it's all over literally within like an hourly candle, right? But moments like that are genuinely rare, right? Like the market was playing nice for a long time, and then this like this news, this sort of black swan event happened. But yeah, guys, so that is a lot of alts we've gone over, right? So for the consolidation sessions, we're gonna get them done. We're probably gonna get the core one done this week. I don't know if we're gonna get the advanced one done this week as well. If I have time, I'll get advanced one done this week too. If I don't have time this week, I'll get advanced one done like by next week for sure. I said the date is going to be later this week. Let's take a look. So we have I'll be busy tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So after Wednesday onwards, I know for a fact one of those days I'll be able to like sort some time out. So we'll definitely get the core consolidation session done this week. Advanced, we'll either get it done this week as well or by next week. So whatever questions you have, bring them to the consolidation session. The way we'll do it is we'll get on a call like we typically do, and then once we get on a call like we typically do, we'll take in turns, right? We'll get on stage, like one person come up, ask all your questions, we'll get them answered, and after you're done, next person come up, ask your questions, we'll get it done, right? That way, the entire group also has the benefit of hearing your questions, getting them answered. Maybe someone will ask a question you didn't think of. You'll ask a question someone else didn't think of. So we'll get it done that way. Yeah. But we'll get core done this week for sure. We'll try to get advanced done this week. But if I'm stuck in refurbishing again, I'll get it done by next week. So I just wanted to say that as well. Robbing that place. Yeah, I can do that, Jasper. When I get back into scalping again, I can run some like scalp streams and stuff. Yeah, I had a Tau, bro. Right, I had a Tau. Insane strength on that one. 300 and something was the last ad I did. But yeah, so it's right now it's with the refurbishing and of course with my own hedge fund as well. I know many of you know, some of you might not. I'll be opening my own hedge fund, so we're getting the account started soon. So I think I'll have to get a couple licenses, take a couple exams and stuff as well. But I'm trying to do it because, bro, I don't want to take exams, right? That's what my mates are there for. So I'm just saying, look, you man can take the exams from the thing. Just once you've loaded the account, just let me do the trading. It's all good. Otherwise, I have to go to Hong Kong and do all the licensing, the exams, so on and so forth. So. But yeah, it takes a lot of time. But it's the R&D and like the actual like the hedge fund is really like Takes a lot of time, especially with the we've got with the property side of things as well. Obviously, we're trying to do like property mixed in with the hedge fund, so hurry the hell. My mum, they were asking me, right, do you want to like hire people? I was like, no, I'm doing this by myself right now. It's like when it comes to running something like this, the less noise you have, the better. So unless I feel like, oh shit, I need an extra pair of hands I can trust, I'm not looking to get anyone else in. I'm just gonna be doing it myself. Automate? Nah. But but yeah. So I'll keep you guys updated on that end anyway. But for now, it's for my own personal obviously account. I've got my Thai account where it's all 0% tax. I can't lev on that. It's only spot. So I can't use the Thai account for um what's it for the hedge fund anyway, right? Because for the hedge fund, I'm going into CFDs like forex, whatever the money rotation is, right? Stocks, crypto, whatever, long, short, and of course not just leverage, mainly spot. Have a leverage account, have a scalp account, all of that. Like whatever my usual system is, you guys learn. I'll be doing the whole thing. So just getting all of that set up. Currently, I've got one of my friends. He lives in Cyprus. Um, building out some like technological side of things. So we're trying to get like this AI tool up and running, which helps with like corporate letters and stuff, right? But there's not really anything I've found like that on the market, and if that goes well, we might monetize that as well, just sell it for people because it's a ball ache to write corporate letters. I don't know how many of you have like done it here, but it's an absolute hassle. It's a ball ache. So we're just trying to like literally think of just loads of different avenues to get the cash flow up, and then after that, yeah, massive pain in the ass, bro. So, but yeah, looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be really, really busy, which is the whole reason I've not been able to scalp, right? Otherwise, I'd be scalping like a madman. Most of the gains I've made, most of the gains people know me for, especially if you know me for 4+ years, let's say, is not from me swinging, but from me scalping, right? Scalping because I do a mix of scalping and swinging. I don't know how many of you remember the era where it was like 3 months straight where I decided to just post everything I did on Twitter, just like every couple of days, like plus 13k, plus 14k, plus like 20k. Everyone's accusing you of fucking using like what's the word, demo accounts and stuff. So you got to send people screen recordings just to prove you're valid. But yeah, right now it's just I've just not got the time for it. Plus, it's like when you have when you have a when you have a lot of free capital you can park on the side, you don't really need to scalp anyway, right? Like you're gonna make a lot of money from just swinging. So right now it's actually pretty chill right now. But yeah, pretty full house today, guys. Thank you all for showing up. I'm gonna go eat dinner now. I'll do like I said. I'll ping you guys when I figure the date out when we're gonna do core and advanced consolidation sessions. We get all your questions answered, make sure everyone's happy with everything, and then after that, yeah, that'll be all done, right? Oh, this was a moment when I loaded up a couple of 6 figures into my scalp account, bro. Yeah, it'll probably be around December, January, bro. Right. Adam, nice to see you here, brother. Yeah, I know, bro. I'm a brokey. Yeah. Happy Diwali to all of you that celebrate as well. I know it's that today. Yeah, that'll be why the fireworks are moving around. Yeah. Anyways, I'll see you guys around. Yeah, if you need anything, ping me in the server because I probably won't see DMs. They're actually flooded. So just ping me in the server, and once I see the ping, I can get back to the DMs. Yeah, love guys. I'll end this. I'll put it on. On the